Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for the brand new video, and today's video is finally the real things, ladies and gentlemen. It's no the international break, it's none of this, nah. It is Rangers football things. It's what we all love to break down and discuss, and honestly the football and things couldn't be returning in a bigger way as we host second place Hearts at Ibrox. And you know what, as this game is so massive, there's going to be no faffing about in today's video. Let's dive directly in to the old oppositional preview and have a look at this Hearts side that again are sitting second and are currently, as I'm recording today's video, the only undefeated side left in the top flight of Scottish football. Fingers crossed that changes in the next 24 to 25 hours. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, the fact that I'm actually sitting here saying this about this side that came up from the Championship last season to now, 2 months into the season, 8 games gone, to be still undefeated, be second in the league, be only 1 point behind Rangers and have a better goal difference from the Championship to where they are right now, full credit and fair play to Hearts as well. Obviously we're going to have a wee bit of fun with today's video because I like to have my wee jokes and my wee one-liners and that, taking the piss and everything like that. But to be fair, the job that they've done and the way that they've built their squad from Championship to up here has been tremendous work, and they've added dangerous piece after dangerous piece to where they are right now, as it shows on the table, the second best team in the league. But didn't just take my word for it, ladies and gentlemen. The evidence is there to be seen if you didn't believe me. This Hearts side has had a fantastic start to the season, and they backed that up in their most recent game just before the international break. When we were out there beating Hibs, they went ahead and put the sword down on Motherwell, who, again, if you've been paying attention, have been playing phenomenal. They were on a great run, undefeated run, blah blah blah, the longest run for a certain amount of time. You saw how difficult it was versus us to put Motherwell away. But Hearts, in a game that honestly had a lot riding on it for both sides, Hearts just had that extra gear, and that is the attack. I mean, you look at Liam Boyce so far this season, he's scored in 7 of the last 9 Hearts games. Now granted, most of them have been penalty kicks, and if we had as many penalties as Hearts did after 8 games, Scottish football would have been cancelled. But still, he's stepping up and he's putting them away, and he's a constant threat whenever the ball's in and around the area. But you know, son, we know all about Liam Boyce. We know how dangerous he's been. He's stung us in the past, not only with Hearts, but in the previous clubs that he's had before. We know he's a kind of classic centre-forward that if you give him a half opportunity, he's usually finding the back in it. But he's always been an issue, and he's always been a problem. But where Hearts have took the next step, in my opinion, is the pieces they've added all around them. Because it's not now just Liam Boyce or bust. Nah. They've got real attacking threat. They've got Gary Mackay freezing on the left-hand side, and they've got Barry Mackay. Yes, I've just shouted it's Mackay in the back of my head, obviously the former Rangers man, and those two are, whether you like them or not or whatever you want to say about them, they are players that is willing to take people on. They're not turning round and passing it sideways all the time. They are constantly taking on their men, and the fact that they are flooding so many people forward, the fact that they've got wingers that actually take people on and drive directly into the box usually every time they get the football and himself, that's why they're getting so many of these penalties, because they're driving in to the box and they're asking the defenders the questions. And so far this season, for the majority of the season I should say, the defenders haven't had many answers, resulting in a whistle, penalty kick, step up, goal, freaking goal. And that for me is the single most dangerous thing about this Hearts side. It is that wide areas, especially with the formation that we will break down in a couple of minutes. Their ball is out there constantly, and that is where their biggest threat will be, straight out to the wide. Whether it's a counter-attack or a switchy play, they will look to build out from the wide areas and drive at our fullbacks, get them running back towards the box, then the step overs come out, then the wee drop of the shoulders to see if the Rangers players are going to leave a leg out, and that's going to be very, very dangerous. And I genuinely think the game's going to be won and lost out there in the wide areas. But just in case you didn't believe me, ladies and gentlemen, let's now go ahead and transition in to speak about the formation. They line up in the 3-4-3 formation. It's very attacking and it's very, very strong out in the wide position because of the flat 4 across the middle, which pretty much has the full-backs right there. That gives just a little bit more leeway to the attacking wingers either side of Boyce, that they're not needed to come back just enough or anything like most teams do if they line up in a 4-3-3 or anything like that. They're a little bit more release to stay forward. And usually what happens when one drops a little bit further back, one pushes a wee bit further forward, so they've constantly got that outball every single time. And I honestly think they will line up in the 3-4-3, because if you look at them so far this season, that's what they played the majority of the season, besides the cup match which they lost 3-2 to Celtic, where they changed their kind of 5 at the back formation. They tried to be a wee bit more defensive and it just didn't work, and it resulted in their only loss so far in all competitions this season. And if you look at their other game versus Celtic, which obviously they won on opening day 2-1, it was the 3-4-3 in your face formation. So despite them changing it the last time they played one in the old firm, I think they'll go back to what actually worked and they'll no change their formation again, because the only time they moved away from the 3-4-3 they got a loss. So I'm expecting it to be in your face, high pressing all early part. Like as soon as we cross that white line of the halfway line, I imagine they're going to be on us, trying to make it as difficult as possible. This isn't going to be one of these games where they park the bus and they have everybody back and hitting long balls or anything like that. It's just no going to be that. It's going to be fast, it's going to be hard tackling, it's going to be a battling game of football, and that will be the way Hearts look to make it in this trip to Ibrox. And you know, son, I think with that being said, that's the end of the old oppositional preview. Now it's time to get over to the Rangers side of today's video, and I'm just going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, coming into this game of football, is it a tough game? Absolutely. Are we against an undefeated side for Edinburgh? Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. But think back to our last game, troops. It was against another team that was undefeated from Edinburgh, and we managed to silence that, come away with all 3 points and cause another media meltdown, which I'll be honest with you, I would love to see repeated tomorrow. And you know, son, I kind of want to pick up where I left off when speaking about the Hearts game, because how they're actually going to come into Ibrox and try to play this game by getting in our faces with the kind of half-pitch press that we've seen before from Hearts, making things difficult, making it sort of an instinctive game of football. I actually think that's exactly what we need to help us get back to doing what we do and help us click that switch that we've been waiting to switch all season long, ladies and gentlemen. Because if you look at us so far this season, it's been peaks and valleys throughout games of football. We've never had a complete overall performance, and I think we've been really struggling against teams that part the bus and make it difficult, because we're not really sharp going forward, and when they give us space we're not playing quickly enough, and that's actually playing into the hands of the opposition. The Motherwell game, a perfect example of that. But this game won't be that at all. Again, Hearts will be in there in our faces whenever we cross that halfway line, and they'll be forcing us to pass quickly, they'll be forcing us to take people on, and they'll be forcing us to move the ball and have a shot whenever we get near the box. And again, that's exactly what I think we need to wake us up and get us back to our best, because there'll be no time to overthinking things or overplaying. No, it'll just be go, go, go. As our captain famously said last season when we were getting the press on and we were getting in people's faces and we were having to play quickly, I think this is the exact type of game that our club needs right now. Because I think if we go back to look at the Hibs game, the second half was absolutely brilliant. It was sharp, it was attacking, and that was a 45-minute spell. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we now have a 90-minute spell versus Hearts when we have the opportunity to play that quickly again. And when we are that sharp and we aren't that hesitant, that's truly when you see the best of this Rangers team. But enough of the old Rangers conversation, let's get to some press conference reaction then, shall we? And if you needed it, even though it was kind of paper nonsense and I kind of talked about that in the comment section, but if you needed a wee bit of reassurance about the Steven Gerrard to Newcastle, I think Gerrard rubbished it, kind of laughed it off and paid respect to Steve Bruce that he's the manager in Newcastle, he's no interest, he's at a big job right now that has all his focus. So if you needed any reassurances that Steven Gerrard wasn't going anywhere, or Steven Gerrard wasn't interested, or Steven Gerrard had one eye elsewhere, he shut that down pretty promptly during this week's press conference. Speaking of this week's press conference, by the way, we've got some important updates regarding some players and everything like that. The first one being is Leon Balogun is good to go, ladies and gentlemen, which is a massive, massive weight off these shoulders right here, troops, because I was bricking it. Again, it was kind of up in the air after he limped off versus Nigeria, but he is good to go, as Gerrard confirmed. Everyone came back from the international duty completely fine and ready to go for tomorrow. But unfortunately, it isn't all good news, because the likes of Ryan Kent, Ryan Jack, the players that we wanted to be available for this game, aren't quite available yet. Jacko is now back in training full time. This is the first time this season, so that is good news, but again, he's not game ready, which again does feel like a punch right in the crown jewels. But again, if you're paying attention, we've had to wait for him singly training on his own, then getting on the grass again and working his way up. Now he's actually training with the first team. It's just about like the Bakuna thing when he first came now, closing that gap to getting amongst the training and being fit enough to start a game. So Jacko will be back very, very soon, and so will Ryan Kent, who's expected to join full training from Monday as well. It's just gutting he isn't available for this game. I really, really wanted Kent to be available for this game. Speaking of available though, we have Kamal Roof, who's kind of up in the air right now. Genuinely, he's up in the air right now. Like, if you look up, he's on that plane right now. He's coming in, troops, for Jamaica after playing obviously in the international duty. It's a long flight. He's coming here. I don't think he's going to be starting the game given what Gerard said, but he hopes the man's got enough rest and everything like that, and he's at least available for the game tomorrow. But everyone else, troops, is all good to go, and that is a massive boost, especially at the centre-back region. And I think with all that being said, that's reached the end of today's video. All that's left for me and thee today to try to predict, well, I was going to say the unpredictable, but I'm actually back-to-back perfect predictions right now, so I'm starting to feel good right now, troops. So I don't know if I've got a wee bit of magic in these fingertips, but the fingertips are going to repeat themselves than the scoreline that I just put out for the last time we were at Ibrox versus an undefeated Edinburgh club. I am going to go with the old channel favourite, Rangers 2, Hearts 1. I just think there's going to be goals in the game. I think Morelos is going to be absolutely massive, as he always is, if I'm honest with you. And I expect a goal for, I don't know, it feels like there's going to be a goal for the midfield, so fingers crossed that is the old case. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That's everything that needs to be discussed. The oppositional preview, the Rangers conversation, the press conference recap, and the cheeky prediction ons. Now all that's left for me today is wrap up the video officially by saying that has been a sleepy Rocky Boy Johnson. I have been CJ Novo. I will see you tomorrow after the game. Take care of yourselves. All the best, and bye-bye.